Hey everybody, what's up? It's Broman, and it's episode 20 of Ask Broman. We made it to arbitrary goal 2. It is also Monday. Nope, lied. Wednesday, December 13th, if you're keeping track of time with the podcast. And we are joined by another special guest. This is it Geek on Twitch now, or...
On Twitch, it's TheGeekChick. Yeah.
On Twitch, it's TheGeekChick, and then on Twitter, it's Geek on Twitch.
Yes.
So how are you doing? And
give
everybody a little intro. Give everybody like the little 1 minute about who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, I am TheGeekChick. If you have been on Twitch for a while or in the Destiny community for a while, I was TheGeekChick, but decided to change my name for branding purposes.
Smart.
But I've been streaming for almost 3 years now. Yeah.
Goddamn.
Almost 3 years now. It's been a long journey. And, I've just been recently delving into variety streaming, which has been really nice and exciting.
That is fun. Playing more stuff.
But I've been playing a variety of video games. We've been doing Q&As. It's been really enjoyable. So, I've just been having a really good time with it. I have been really excited for Star Wars. That's like me in a nutshell.
For a lot of
that's
us,
me
it's
in
tomorrow.
a nutshell. I'm just like, oh, when Star Wars? That's what I've been basing like my week off of. Like, because my days get all mixed up all the time. So I'm like, when's the 14th? Okay, that's my like monolith of time for like everything else like surrounding it.
It's like what day is it? It's 2 days pre-Star Wars. Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I'm working my life right now. It's like, okay, Star Wars isn't like a day and a half. Cool.
I'm so incredibly excited, and I managed to avoid spoils so far,
Me too.
which has been good. I did not avoid spoils last time, so I knew the big horrible thing that happened beforehand, which made me sad. So I got a couple of questions that most people will be curious about. What got you interested in doing like content creation, whether it was on Twitch or anywhere else? Like, how did you get like intrigued into the attempt?
Well, I've been playing video games for, I would say almost like 24 years, I would say, if I were to put like a solid number on it.
Whole life.
A lifetime. But, I was always into technology and gaming, and I worked in technology before I became a streamer. And at the time, someone had, my friend who was a YouTuber, he was like, hey, why don't you do YouTube? I think you would really like it. And I was like, I don't know. I work a lot, and I don't know like editing software or anything like that would require me to, go into movie editing or video editing. And he was like, okay, well then if you don't want to do that, then why don't you just do Twitch? And I had no idea what Twitch was. And he was like, literally you just sit down and you go live and that's it. You don't have to do anything else. So I was like,
awesome.
I was like, okay, that sounds easy. So I bought a PlayStation camera, and that was that. It started off as like a hobby, and it just evolved slowly but surely.
What was so you do Twitch full time, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like we're going way back. Like I'm asking questions
way
for people
back
who are listening, not for my edification. So you do Twitch full time. How long, this is the other question I like to ask, how long was it from day one, wow, this is neat, and I got a PlayStation camera and I'm streaming, to, all right, this is my career now, or for however long it will last?
It was, and I don't, well, I'm sure we'll get into this later about like, if you do want to go full time, like what you should do. But like, basically what I did is I saved up a buttload of money, paid off all my credit card debt. And within, I would say 6 months, I quit my job.
I didn't know you did. I didn't know you went all hood on it like that. That's fucking.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That is one of. Yeah, that's awesome. Like that's one of the ways that you can start any new job. Like not just streaming, but like any career to chase your dream. Like fucking work your ass off, pay everything off, make a nest egg, and then like invest into yourself.
Yeah,
like, that's kick ass. There's not a large amount of people who have managed to do that on Twitch, but everyone that I have met that sort of set it up before they took the risk like that, it ended up going really well for them. Do you think that like played a role for you, like when you were started because you didn't feel like pressure to?
Yeah, you know what it was? It's like when I first started, I had no idea what a partnership was or that you could even do things like this. Like, I thought Twitch was basically like kind of like YouTube, where like some people make a lot of money, but most people just do it as a hobby. But then when I met all of you guys and, you know, I started learning more, I was like, oh, well, I want to give this a real solid try. And I think it was just, you know, I wasn't going to take no for an answer, because it's one of those things where, just like in the regular job market, like once I had my eye on a job, I really wanted it and I went for it no matter what. And I wouldn't really be satisfied unless I got it. So it was very similar with Twitch. I was like, this is what I want, and I'm going to sacrifice whatever it takes, you know, in order to get it.
That's like, it's fucking awesome. It's really great. That's the situation that I got sort of put in, due to life circumstance surrounding when I started streaming on Twitch and then went full time and things like that. It really was, it was like I don't got nowhere else to go, like, sort of situation, for me. So I just had to I had to bust ass and make it work because I wanted it and I had to. Yeah. Because I got a taste, and I just didn't want to go back to having someone else be my boss.
Exactly.
Like, I was like, fuck that. That's like a lot of people who do content creation will talk about how, oh man, you know, I think like one day I'll be done and, you know, I could go work for a company, and like, I would rather die. I don't want anyone else to be my boss ever again. It's horrible.
I know, it is true. It's like, once you get that taste of like being independent and being truly like a one man or one woman show, it's like, that's it. That's all I want for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you are, in fact, the first lady guest that we have had. If you identify that way, you are also the first Apache attack helicopter that we've had on. If
that's a real big achievement, I think, out of anything.
Really, as an Apache attack helicopter, I'm proud
around the
to
Christmas holiday family table, my family will be very proud when I tell them that.
Oh my god. That's something I wanted to ask you about, if you're comfortable talking about it. Yeah. I've shared my experience, and a lot of people have hangups and have had issues when it comes to family and streaming. My parents were incredibly unsupportive when I started. It's so much so that we basically didn't talk for like 3 years. And I know that you've talked about that before, sort of working through things with your family. Do you have any insight for folks that might be getting started or midway through for kind of dealing with that?
Yeah, I mean, is it okay if I go into detail? Not like super detail about my situation.
You can go into as much detail as you want. I just don't want, I care about you not feeling uncomfortable, because it is.
Oh, no.
Talking about family is always close to home.
Right. No, I mean, the thing is like, I was always the poster child in my five. Well, it's only me and my sister, so it's not that much of a competition. But like, I always had like the really good jobs that my parents could talk to their friends and, you know, other relatives and be like really proud of.
Gosh,
like, oh, my daughter works for Apple and she fixes computers, or my daughter works for NBC, and the other day she repaired like the president of the Sci-Fi Network's printer or whatever the case may be. So it's like, it didn't seem like a lot, but to them it was like bragging rights. It was like, look at my daughter, like she works, you know, for NBC, and she goes to 30 Rock every morning and she does all this. And then I was like, just kidding. I'm actually going to quit doing all that. And I'm going to work on the internet in an industry that you have no idea what anything's about. So they took it really hard at first. I lived with my mom at the time, and I streamed out of her office because the office wasn't being used. So I was like, oh, this is perfect for me. And she started to understand it more and more as time went on. My dad, however, never really supported it because he didn't understand it. He was afraid that it wasn't financially stable, which it's not.
Yeah, the volatility in the market's pretty heavy when it comes to content creation.
Yeah, it's not. And he thought I was throwing my whole life away, making a huge mistake, and still to this day thinks that. And And, I've tried to burden the blow by telling him all the amazing things, especially with St. Jude and everything like that we've done and accomplished. But it's not making the mark for him. It's not hitting home. So it's unfortunate. I mean, my dad and I still don't really speak, which is tough, especially with the holidays coming up. But I would say if you are considering doing something like this, making a full-time career out of streaming or content creation in general, just don't expect everyone to understand. Even if it's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a family member, even if it's like a really close friend, because streaming and content creation will take up a very, very big portion of your life, and you might not have that dedication to other things like you used to. And some people won't understand that, and some people will think that you're being selfish. Really, you have to make them understand that this is your passion and this is your dream, and you have to be smart about it as well. Because I always told my parents, I was like, if things really turn sour, I'm not going to be stupid about it. I'm going to, always have a plan B. So I think that's what they think is what I will do. I will like hold on to this like until like the ship is sinking. But I was like, I've never been the type of person who's been without a job. I've never been like, flimsy all over the place, like not really sure where I'm going. So this is one of those things that you just really have to be concrete about, because you need to show that dedication to people in your family and your close friends, and don't let anyone talk you out of it. Because you don't want to live with any regrets. You don't want to be like, oh man, you know what? I just should have done it and see where it went. And now I let everyone talk me out of it, because a lot of these people don't understand. Yeah.
My whole life was like, one of my philosophies was always to take every reasonable risk that I could. Not like take every risk. Is that crack? Sweet. Like, give me some of that black tar heroin. But like, if there was something in front of me that seemed like, I don't know, it won't make my life worse, I would always take the shot. That's how I ended up like living in Puerto Rico, being an English teacher and working in a psychiatric hospital, and all this other crazy shit that I did before streaming was the result of like, I don't know, that seems interesting and it won't make my life worse. So, I'll fucking try it. Yeah. Going all in and making sure you don't have regrets is like so huge. That's why I used to be really scared to give my full effort on something. I would always half-ass shit because I was like, well, if I half-ass it, then it's not my fault. Like I didn't do my best. I could always do better. But you got a full ass stuff, guys.
You got a full ass.
You got a full ass. You got to give all of the asses to try and make things work sometimes. It's really, that was something that took me a long time to overcome. Probably. Are you firstborn as well?
Yes.
I'm not a huge big thing into like family rankings, but like, listen, if you're the firstborn, you have a lot of fucking expectations thrown on your shoulders.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a problem a lot of like firstborn kids have, is they're like, oh God, I can't fucking, like, I can't ever make everyone happy. So I'm just like not going to try as hard, because the fear of failure is huge, because your whole life is, at least for me, was cruxed on the idea of like, I need to be successful to prove myself to my parents.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's a hard thing to get over. But if you're listening right now and you hear that and you're like, oh shit, that's me. You got to get over it. Like, you got to figure it out and you got to get the fuck over it, because your life really won't start until you start giving 100%, even if it's scary, because it's worth it. It's so worth it.
It is worth it. And what's funny too is that, I've been working since I was 15, and my younger sister didn't get a job till she was like 20 something, like maybe like 19. And then she's a YouTuber. But my parents support that. They don't support.
What?
They don't support me being a YouTuber.
That's so backwards. Your parents have some really ingrained new media preference, right? Like, YouTube's fine, but this other thing
I see
that's
the YouTubes
exactly
all the time
same.
on Facebook. I load up the Facebook and there's the YouTubes. I don't see none of this Twitch on the Facebook, so it can't be real.
Holy shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. The story of my life, though.
Entrenched preference. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't like, I hear you say that and I'm just like the depths that some parents go to like make exceptions is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're a parent, like I'm going to be a parent one day, like listen to what we're talking about as grown adults. It just don't stop fucking doing it. Like stop making our life as your kid the crucible of your success. Like you can't do that. It really fucks kids up. Please. Please don't. We'll get there eventually to live our own full life, but just try not to live vicariously through your kids. It's so bad. I've seen it hurt a lot of my friends pretty deeply. It ruined some of the most important relationships I've had in my life. And it's fucking bad. Don't fucking do it. All right. I feel like we've covered some good stuff. We got a nice introduction to each other. And everyone who's listening, hi podcast. Well, let's get some questions. Let's get trying to see. This guy has been in here like a lot, and I feel like I owe him. So
let's do it.
Yeah, Wild MN, how are you doing today? I believe we may have tried to have Wild MN on before.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
Not too much. How are you guys?
Great. God, your microphone's
doing
buttery.
Good.
I've spent too much money on audio equipment.
It's worth it for this moment, my friend.
Usually someone comes in Discord, it sounds like two robots scraping together.
Yeah. You're right. I have tried it many times to get on here, and either I have work or something else that gets me out of the stream right before the last two callers.
Oh, that's diarrhea. Fucking time's a bitch. What can I do for you? You're here. It's now. Let's go.
Yes. So early on, maybe episode 1 or 2 that you did, you were talking to people about branding.
Sure.
And this is actually good timing for both of you here. And you were not poking fun, but mentioning that people had numbers in their names or different things that make it harder for you to define yourself as a content creator.
Sure.
And I've always had numbers in my name, but I've always wanted to redefine myself.
Sure.
And I was hoping to get some advice from you guys on where you might go with some of the restrictions that I have.
What are the numbers that are in your name? Like what's your username that's everywhere or whatever?
Yeah. So the name everywhere, you can find me everywhere at WildMN293.
293. Okay.
Yeah, and the number has no relevance. It was something that was given to me early on for a school email. So I was like, all right, well, I know that number. I'm never going to forget it. But it has no relevance to anyone else. My only challenge here is the WM are my initials in my real name.
Okay.
So I really like that. And I've created professional branding for things that I do in the real world. And I want to keep that. But I'm looking to see what can I do to rebrand myself as a content creator.
I mean, to me, it sounds like you already know the answer that you want, which is to drop the numbers but keep the MN because it's your initials and it feels organic to you. Like that's what I'm hearing.
I would like to do that, but you can't find that channel anywhere. So coming up with something that's available.
Oh, like it's currently being used everywhere.
Yes.
That is tough.
Yeah. So you can't get what you want, so you need like a backup.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's diarrhea. I mean, first of all, like having numbers in your name it's not like a death sentence. There's plenty of people who've become successful, even recently on Twitch, like Darkness429, Tim, who's been on the podcast a couple of times. It's definitely possible to operate without like a nice clean sounding name, as long as again, like authenticity is really important. So do you just hate the numbers?
I kind of do.
Yeah, then you need to figure out a way to get rid of them. All right. So I mean, you could so Wild MN isn't available for you.
Yeah, and first of all, Wild MN is based on the hockey team. So
okay.
It's hard to brand myself around something that's already a really big brand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I'm drawing a blank right now. Geek, if you've got any ideas.
I mean, it is tough. And like, actually, I relate to you because my prior name was the Geek Chic, but there was Geek Chic furniture.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I would go to like a convention, they would have a booth there. People would always like take a screenshot of like the convention layout, and they would be like, "Are you here? Do you have your own booth? That's kind of crazy." And I'd be like, "No, that's not me. that's the furniture company." Yeah. So I didn't even know that. That I literally like named my Twitch name off my Instagram name because I used to like post like outfit of the days and stuff like that. So I didn't know anything about that until later on. But then I just was like, I need to change it. So I'm just going to add a K on the end because making anything else would be too complicated. But I think like if you can find, I mean, I don't know if you want to brand entirely over, like change everything. But, you know, if you want to find something else that's related to you, like for me, it was an Instagram name. It could be like a gamer tag. It could be something that relates to you or relates to your gaming career or your IRL career or whatever it might be. That could work out too. And, you know, I mean, I don't know. Do you stream as well?
I do.
Okay.
Not as often as I might. Work obviously gets in the way, and when you can start to find time, So,
because I was going to say, if you do plan on doing that, you know, it is best to brand early on because I rebranded quite late in my streaming career, and I feel like it was very hard to adjust everybody to it. So, yeah. I mean, it is tough, like you said, if it is a big brand already and it's already familiar with people in one category and you're trying to make it familiar in another category. I would say if there's anything else that you identify with or that is simplified enough where you can make something out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good answer.
No, I think that's really good. I just was reminded of a conversation that I had with a longtime viewer. This must have been like 2 years ago. His name was like HyperX 2000. And there's like a very well-known, you know, hardware company, computer hardware called HyperX. And this guy actually got his username taken away because HyperX came to Twitch and they're like, we want authentic branding across all platforms. So anyone with HyperX in their name, like we want this guy. So I think his name was HyperX and now it's like HyperX 2000 or something. So, as content creation as a method grows, more and more companies are going to try and I guess like land grab their names, or you're opening yourself up to that potential. So I think I agree with Geek. I think that maybe a complete rebrand of everything that you're doing is good, especially since she had that story of like being confused with a furniture company. Like the last thing that you want to do is be confused for a representative of a major sports organization.
Especially one that I don't really often watch.
Because then like now you're talking about negative return, right? People are going to come in expecting you to know something. Like, how about that hockey game? And you're like, I'm more of a curling guy.
How about it?
I don't do hockey. Yeah, I would just try and find something else that you connect with. Yeah, I completely agree with that concept. Do you have any follow-ups for us?
What is something that like if you had to come up with a word, this is a simple follow-up, a word that starts with an M that would be a good branding name.
Oh man.
It starts with an M?
An M, maybe keep wild and add something else to it.
Wild Mastodon.
I was gonna say magnificent, but that doesn't really make sense.
Wild Magnificent's good.
Ooh. I'm lying to you. The first thing that came to my mind was Mac Daddy, but that's not really. Unless you're going into a specific industry, probably not going to work out for you.
Which doesn't go in that direction, but you never know.
Mr. Wild. Mitochondria. Chat's just vomiting M words at you right now.
Mitochondria definitely.
Oh, this is good. I'm just gonna keep looking at these.
Yeah,
mitochondria. I like that guy.
There you go. Now you have utilized the crowdsourcing power of Twitch chat, and they will find your answer for you. I would ask you at this point to shout out all your stuff. Is there anywhere that will not be changed in the great upheaval of your rebranding where people can find you now?
Well, here's the deal. Wild MN. If you just search that, you will find me everywhere.
Okay.
So Twitter, Twitch and YouTube, I'm the first person that comes up. So maybe the 293 is not so bad after all.
I mean, like, if your branding is rolling that hard with you, like, and the numbers aren't killing you, that's cool. The numbers stuff is more of a jab at identity, trying to find a solid one online. It's not crucial to remove it, but yeah, definitely. I mean, work with what you've got, and if it's working for you, maybe don't change it. But
awesome.
Like Geek said, like, you might end up being confused for a furniture company one day, and that would suck.
And it could be worse. You could have like 35 numbers after your name, like one of those like AOL screen names that were like, this is taken, but you could have this one.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
you just adapt
exactly.
to that your whole life.
I don't have a lot of X's, so I have that going for me.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, dude. Well, then shout out where people can find you. And then in the future, if you make an adjustment, they'll be following you and they'll be ready.
Yes, and I will have a link to the real thing there. You can follow me everywhere on WildMN293.
All right, WildMN293. Thank you very much, man.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being patient getting on the show as well. That was
not a problem.
You're a good guy. Good
Thanks.
guy. I had no idea that you had to rebrand because everyone thought you were a furniture company.
Yeah, I mean that was a big part of it, and like also, people never knew what to say. They never knew what to say, chic or chick. And I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's just like, let's just make it easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I have dyslexia, and I called you Geek Chick for forever, always.
And that was fine. It kind of evolved into that, and everybody else did. So I was like, all right, well, this is fine. But then, people would constantly ask, and I was like, you know what? At this stage in the game, maybe let's just like solidify it. And I got a little bit of a flack for it. Like, there's a small amount. People are like, oh, who do you think you are? That you think you're so important that you need to brand yourself?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not a furniture company. I'll tell you that much. So,
yeah.
So but someone in chat said that apparently that furniture company went out of business. So I outlasted them. Also, don't listen to Insomnia. People do come in my chat though, and they still ask if I'm Greek. They're like, "Yay, a Greek person!" I'm like, "No, it's Geek Chick, that Greek chick." And they're like, "Oh,
Greek! Oh my god, that's always fun." All right, let's. You were like the perfect person to have on for that moment. Like, I would have been totally lost. Let's get. Man, I feel like we've had a lot of people in here that I've seen for days. Let's get Flinty Cloth. Hello, Flinty Cloth. How are you?
Hello.
I'm pretty good. Hang on 1 second.
All right, no problem. We're hanging on so hard for 1 second right now.
So hard.
It's right.
All right.
Just
I'm good.
hanging on. I feel like Flinty's like walking through his house right now, trying to find like a quiet place so he can talk.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what
I'm
I'm
at
hearing.
work. I'm just trying to find a room.
Just trying to find a room. Oh, are you at work right now, dude?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah! The hustle.
All right. Yeah. So we have like phone rooms, so I got one.
All right, what's up, my guy?
Not much. I've been listening to the podcast, so I've been trying to get on.
Yeah, I know it's been a minute. I didn't know you were always coming in from work.
Yeah, usually that's where I'm from. Sometimes like the later ones, I can catch them at night.
Are you at liberty to state where you work?
Yeah.
Do you even give a shit? Like,
Actually.
I work for a credit union in Orlando.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay.
But I work in their accounting department, so there's like times where I can like kind of get away.
Yeah.
Tell them you're on a very important call right now.
Yeah,
It's
super
extremely-
important.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is.
Life-changing call. So what can we do for you, Flinty? I want to
So
reward you with
my question
so
is kind of like
answers.
I
All right.
just sort of starting streaming maybe around the time of like the PC launch for Destiny, and I was just wondering like is like using like a mixer or something for your stream, is that like super important to try and get like
audio,
the best sound quality? Yeah.
Sound quality is incredibly important. I'd probably put it on the number one list. Listen, people will put up with shitty video quality, but if they tune in and they don't like your voice, they will like be so pissed off and they'll act like you're a horrible person. How dare you? It's insane how much value we put in each other's voices, just in general in everyday life. But that translates into audio probably being one of the most important things that you can do on your stream, and it's definitely the most important thing to get right. So I would definitely use a mixer. Any tech that you can out there, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, you talked about it in another one, that Voice Meter Banana, and I download that and I've been fooling around with it or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
It's someone that's never really done anything with like sound or anything.
It's tough.
Kind of a monster to,
Yeah, you
get
have
control
to. When I talk about, that's like kind of like a tool of the trade. If you're a plumber, you have to know how to maintain your truck, your van. You can't just call your boss and be like, I don't know how to put gas in this. He'll be like, you're fucking fired. Learning how to operate your equipment is learning how to put gas in your van. So yeah, it's probably going to take around, I don't know, I'd say it took me about 20 hours of time total to really feel like I knew audio well enough to serve my one singular purpose. But it's definitely, it's an uphill climb. It's education. You have to teach yourself.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I spent like several hours myself last night just trying to like go through it and learn it. And I got it kind of set up, but I still don't understand quite what I'm doing. And I've just been watching videos.
Do you let's accelerate your education here, man. What in particular are you really confused about?
It's just trying to get like all the inputs to go to like my OBS and everything.
Understood. So are you using virtual audio cables?
Yes.
Cool. And you've got OBS listening to your virtual audio out? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, and you've got voice meters sending to the virtual audio out?
Yes.
Okay, and you've got your microphone going into the audio in, and you've got voice meter listening to that?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what your problem could be then. That's really...
I should be writing this down right now.
Like, I guess it's like, for some reason, like, I guess it's not when it's just like other like background sounds, like maybe like music or something like Spotify or something like that. Mm-hmm. That I'm just trying to get like everything fine tuned. So
I got you.
So
when it comes to audio balancing, I like to use the system tray.
Okay.
You just adjust everything in there. You find which number is, and then you write that shit down.
Okay.
So that way you can have you have one place to locally manage all your audio on your system tray, right? And then everything else you can just leave at 100%. So you don't have to micromanage 100 different programs. You just have that one program.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a long time to learn that one. It seems like so glaringly obvious when you state it, but then you're like, it's not. How are you treating your voice? I'm gonna go all in and give you like so much value right now. Like, are you doing any post-processing, pre-processing stuff?
I haven't even looked into that really.
Things that you're going to want to manage your voice. You're going to want compression. Compression manages the peaks and valleys in your audio signal. So it'll put everything in range. Like I have a hardware compressor so I can like, and it doesn't hurt anyone's ears, right? Because like it applies, it reduces the total peaking volume via a ratio. I think my ratio is set to... Oh, geez. I think I'm like at 15 to 1. Anytime it gets over, I'm going to say 10 decibels. So that's what compression's incredibly important. And then, and that's pretty much straightforward. There's like usually 3 or 4 presets that you'll find out work for the human voice and which one of them works best for you. The magic is trying to identify the parts of your voice that add, and this is like a tonal range, right? That adds richness. So for me, I have a mid bassy voice. So if I enhance the bass in my voice too much, I sound like like I'm underwater, like a walrus or some shit. So I have to stick with enhancing midtones, and I boost most of my voice in the mid range, and that's what makes it sound best. So when you're screwing around, make sure you're recording and listening back every time you make a change, to dial in, what is exactly perfect for you.
Okay, I mean, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And I would also say it helps. This is like what's good for me. And I don't know a lot about audio, definitely not as much as Broman knows. But I do know that it could be very difficult and very taxing to test stuff live.
Yes.
Especially as much as chat loves to help. But sometimes they turn into IT chat real fast.
Yes.
And so what I would suggest, I have this for myself, is to make a spoof Twitch account and test all the things on the second account. This way you can it's like you're live, it's like you're streaming, but no one knows of that account. So it's not like people will be watching and, giving advice, whether it be wanting to be received or not. But yeah, that really helped me because I could watch it. I can go live. I could watch it on my phone and I could see how it sounds in real time, which worked out for me a lot.
That is actually like such a killer tip. And I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, you don't want to test this shit live with people watching because you're going to get 100,000 different opinions out of 10 people. It is so rough. So yeah, setting up a test, and this is great. This is great advice for any broadcaster. Setting up a test channel that's maybe just you and a couple of your mods know about, so that you can get in there and test out new things, try out new stuff, is going to be massive. Very helpful. Yeah. You got any follow-ups for us, Flinty?
Just another one is just when just kind of like a quick, I guess, question for both of you is when you finally were able to, I guess, or go full time, or if someone does go full time, say they don't normally stream throughout the day, like they're a nighttime streamer.
Sure.
Is it like a difficult thing to like maybe transition to more of a daytime streamer?
It's a good question. Geek, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So I mean, it definitely depends on the game that you're streaming, because like for example, the Destiny community, a lot of the times what'll happen is people will share communities, because we're so close knit and we kind of share a lot of members of our chat. So in the beginning, like when you're first growing, it's good to make a schedule for yourself because, a viewer might think, okay, I'm going to watch this person in the morning, and then I know that this person's going to be on in the night. So when, say, you're both on in the morning, now that's kind of becomes a little bit more difficult because now it's like, oh no, now they're both on. So now what do I do? Because, they want to support everybody. But what I found is I always was a nighttime person. And then I found that being really taxing on my schedule because I felt like I never got a lot of sleep and I was, always grumpy. So what I would recommend, if you can pull this off, not everyone can, is to try doing like 2 streams a day, one in the daytime, one in the nighttime. This way you kind of expand your presence on Twitch. You kind of expand across all the time zones, or as many time zones as you can. And I think that helped a lot because, people who might be just waking up or getting ready for work can watch you. And then people who are coming home from work or just like chilling at home can watch you. Because it is very difficult to like kind of, establish your independence at first. But I think that that's the best. If, like I said, it is difficult depending on your schedule. But even if you did like maybe 4 or 5 hours in the morning and 4 or 5 hours at night, it really helps, like I said, expand your presence so that you can meet more people and expand your community.
Yes. To like schedule is such an untold herald of growing your audience. If you have ever paid attention to when a broadcaster who usually sticks to a schedule streams outside of that, and then like their viewer numbers, retention rate, all that other stuff, outside of your schedule, all those numbers always go down. So if you start as a nighttime streamer, your numbers are always going to be strongest at night until you do what Geek suggested, which was make a forcible effort to try and expand the times that you broadcast, which, it's going to take time for that to grow. But On Twitch, it's been the case for a long time. Nighttime is the right time, and so is really early morning. Like, we're talking like 4 a.m. Eastern, or 10 p.m. or later at night. Tends to be.
I mean,
there's less overall viewers on Twitch, but your discoverability is going to go up. And if you manage to hang on until the AM time when everybody's tuning in, now you're going to have a higher directory ranking, which makes you easier to discover in a time slot where you might have been buried previously. So it's sort of, you sort of have to hack out time a little bit. But you have to balance that. You have to, and we've talked about this a couple times. I spent 6 months. I had my management team run the numbers on and I was like, I'm going to do a strict schedule based off of what you tell me the best time for me to broadcast is. So it ended up being like a split schedule, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and then 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And that was my day every day for 6 months. And it ruined my marriage during those 6 months. I paid an untold physical cost. Like, I put on a bunch of weight. I started getting like really sore all the time, like just like all of the normal, really bad shit that happens when you're just losing on sleep. And I was constantly stressed out. I was putting on a shitty show. You have to find a schedule that's going to work with your life. And you have to find a schedule, that works with, trying to grow your channel as well. So it's a balancing act, committing yourself to saying like, all right, well, this week's going to be a growth week for me. I'm going to focus on streaming at the times that are best for me. And then you can look at the week after that as like an establishment week. I'm going to take all of these people who have, just started joining my community, and I'm going to stream whenever I want. And I'm really going to make them feel welcome and try and ingrain this new schedule or end result schedule into their brains right now, so that they'll always be here when I want them to be here. It's a long process. But I have found that works best.
Yeah, I mean, even like right now, I kind of I have my schedule set that I stream weeknights from X time to X time, the same time every night. So I mean, I got a schedule set for now.
That's beautiful.
I was just kind of like looking for advice for years down the road or future or whatever.
Yeah, that's my advice for years down the road. When you make the transition, like when you're on in the middle of the day, you're playing with all the big boys, right? You're playing with Lyric and Summit and Dr. Disrespect and Tim and all these people who pull the Shroud. All these people who pull like peak viewership on Twitch tend to do it, starting around noon, because listen, if you can stream whenever you want and still pull a shit ton of viewers, why not do it during the part of the day that normal people work? Instead of working the graveyard shift, which is something I used to do, all the time.
Same. I used to do that too.
Yeah.
Rough times.
So when did you work the graveyard shift?
It was pretty soon after I got partnered, I think. I used to stream from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Woof.
And I had great viewership. Everything was good, except I was miserable like the rest of the day because, I had a relationship and I had other things, adult things that you just have to take care of on the daily. And I just was a pile of misery all the time.
Yeah, it is. It's rough. It's brutal. That's the grind, it's the startup period. But yeah, I like it. I like that you're thinking long term, Flinty, about like you recognize what you need to do now, but you want to know what to do next. That's like an incredible perspective to have long term, no matter what you're doing. So you're on the right path, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, most of this has just been from watching you or like your streaming 101 videos, things like that. I've really learned a lot from it. Like what to expect. Always, kind of looking on the horizons for the next thing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Do you wanna shout out anybody on the thing with the let people know where they can find you?
You can find me on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/flintycloth. I'm also on Twitter right now. It's flintycloth2017.
Yeah.
But I just recently got just the base Flinty Cloth. Like it got locked or something. But I got the base name on Twitter back, so I'm gonna try and switch everything back over to that, so I can have it without the numbers on Twitter.
Solid, dude.
I haven't really done anything with like YouTube. Thinking about making like I know like recently you've really been promoting like making like Facebook and
Facebook,
Instagram
sure.
and stuff like that.
Yes, do it.
So that's coming up soon, but I'm sure. I mean, I can get those names.
Yeah, for sure. So Flinty Cloth everywhere.
Yes.
Sounds awesome, man. Well, you have a great day. I'm glad we finally got you on, and enjoy being a kick-ass accountant, my friend.
Oh yeah, thank you. I really appreciate what you do, and thanks for Geek as well. She had great advice today.
100%.
No problem. Have a good day at work, man.
All right.
Thanks.
Talk
Bye,
to you
guys.
later. I never actually did. I would go late, but I never did full overnights. Like,
Man.
Like, I'm really curious because I can't speak to that. Like,
Yeah.
What is that life like for like people who are listening and we're talking about like this is ideal for exposure? Like, I would love for them to know what the fuck they're getting themselves into. So, like, could you just share what that was like on a practical level?
I mean, you really have to be a night owl by nature, because if you're not, then it's going to be extremely difficult for you to acclimate yourself to such a schedule. Now, like, for me, like, I've been a night owl since I was a small child. So it just it comes naturally for me to be up all night than it is to be like up really early in the morning. Like, you know, a traditional schedule, say like a 9 to 5. But for me, it was just kind of like I fell into it kind of by accident because I was busy during the day, and then at night I would just get really tired. But then by midnight, all of a sudden I would get like the second wind, and I would be like super awake and want to stream. And, you know, I got feedback from people who were like, especially like in Europe, they were like, this is great, I can watch you and it's awesome. And then, you know, a couple of like actual Twitch staff members were like, you should stick to this because it seems to be really working for you. So outwardly I was like, okay, and inwardly I was like, I wish I were dead. But eventually I kind of just weaned myself off of it because it was so difficult trying to live a semi-normal life outside of that schedule. And at the time I was in a relationship where I only saw the person maybe once a week. Oof. And that was the only time that we had to spend together. So I would be so tired when we would spend time together that I wouldn't really want to do anything. And he was like, you need to do something because he's like, I want to spend time with you and do things and, you know, go out.
Yeah.
And you just want to sit home all the time and take a nap. So I had to do it. Because like, even though streaming is about a lot of sacrifice, you kind of have to do a checks and balances of like where the line should be drawn. You know what I mean? No,
I totally agree. That's it's so hard to find that. You know, Amy was talking about this recently. She was doing a podcast with a bunch of other content creators' wives. They did like their first one, and Amy, she put it in such a great way. It comes in waves, and like you need to consider that as part of the balancing act. Is like there are times when you're going to work really, really hard, and there are times when you will work not as hard, and being able to plan that out even on like a schedule based level is huge. Knowing when you need to make a sacrifice, because I worked overnights when I worked in the psychiatric hospital, and that wreaked untold havoc on every relationship in my life because I basically disappeared from day person world. Yeah. And I became a night person. I would sleep when everyone else was at work and socializing, and I'd wake up right before everyone would go out for Friday night, you know, and I'd be going into work.
Yeah, that's really the big thing for me was I just became like a zombie person.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're actually there anymore. Which, like I said, I wanted to give you guys practical value here. So if you're gonna chase down that dream and you're gonna do the whole crazy ass overnight shit, like that's the life that's waiting for you. But if that doesn't spook you and you're still driven after hearing that, that's fucking awesome. Go get it. Like, go fucking get it. Because now not only are you excited, but you're making a choice with knowledge behind it, which is all the more motivating. And I think that people who don't just fall into shit and they're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be awful and I can't wait. Like those people are awesome. I wish I was more like that. Yeah, let's keep grabbing folks. I'm having such a good time talking to you, man.
I know, it's awesome. It's like a good way to start my day.
Right. Let's get Liger, because Liger's been hanging out on and off in here. How you doing, Liger? Liger is a moderator for my Twitch chat room, a new moderator.
I've never heard of Liger before.
I've never heard of him. It's total rand. My question's pretty easy. It's for both of you guys. It's kind of back to the the parents thing. Streaming. Kind of getting their approval. It's hard for me because it's like I don't do it full time. I unfortunately don't ever see it as a full time thing, and my mother is come around much more, kind of like you, Geek. But my dad's a very successful business person, and he's a high level executive, so he just doesn't he doesn't get it. I don't think he'll ever get it. And I value my parents' opinions. I respect them. I am the baby in the family. I'm not the oldest.
Sure.
So, I'm not going to say my siblings have made mistakes in life because that's just mean.
Well, I mean, they have. Like, they're human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
It's more like a lot of weight is more on my shoulders because my dad sees so much potential in me in the business side of getting into the real life.
Yeah.
But how do you, in Broman, you went 3 years without really talking to your parents, you said, but like, how do you tone out the, them not supporting you? And how did you, like, I don't know how, I don't know if that's the right question, but like,
I got a couple of things that I'll tell you. First of all, well, I'll answer your first question and then we'll go into it. Actually, Geek and I can both speak to it, so we'll both answer. And then I have some thoughts about your businessman dad.
Okay.
So, for me, I'm vindictive and petty. So you don't believe in me? Fine, fuck you, and I can't wait to shove it in your face. That was my motivation for my parents. Like, I can't wait to make this work, and I can't wait for the moment when you come crawling back, mom and dad, and you say, like, I was wrong the whole time. And I want to, and you get to stand there on top of the pile of bodies in the battlefield and be like, I am the greatest, and you're fucking right, and fuck you, and welcome back into my life. There's no greater feeling to me than that. Because I'm vindictive and petty. But that was me. What about you, Geek?
I would say about the same.
Sweet.
Like, I just want to, and I thought, every time it is a difficult thing because every time I think I'm going to show them something that will be like kind of prove that I'm being successful, it will kind of just like I'll fall flat on my face about it. Even if it's something like I said, I'm bringing it back to the whole St. Jude thing. Like even showing them that and showing them pictures and all of that, it still is not connecting. And sometimes it just will never connect.
Yeah.
But because I feel like with parents who, my parents are like 50 and like 58. So I think it's about something palpable that they can touch, that they can see, that will really kind of drive them into like, okay, this is like a real thing. For example, my sister, she is a makeup YouTuber, and she came out with an eyelash line. So that's something that they can actually see and touch, and they watch her shipping them out, shipping the products out to people. So for them, it's different. For me, all they do is see me sitting at a desk playing video games.
Yeah.
They haven't seen anything palpable come out of it yet. And I think that's why they choose to shift some of the support more towards her than towards me. But who knows? But, it is going to be difficult. It's not going to be a smooth road. There are going to be good days and bad days. But it is one of those things that it does drive the passion. Like Broman said, it drives the passion. And you want to come out on top. And I was like, I would love one day for me to like, I don't know, be on some show hosting something or talking about streaming, and they could be like, look at that, that's my daughter over there. I don't know why they talk like that. They don't talk like that in real life.
They don't. I love your parent voice.
Yeah, my parents are both Italians. They don't talk like that. But yeah, I would love for that to be like, oh, look at me being successful.
It's gotten better like over time. Like, like I have a panel at PAX, and my mom kind of really grasped that, and she's like, oh, well, he's not just doing it in front of a camera. Now he's doing it in front of an audience of 300 to 500 people at a huge convention. And so at that point, I think she kind of, teetered my father, because now my father will like fly me to my events. Like, he'll be like, oh, well, do you have to go to, Boston or Seattle? And I'm like, no, not yet. So I feel like it's gotten better, but it's just like still like in the back of my mind, like when I stream, it's like, well, I don't have people's approval that I really want. So
yeah,
it's frustrating.
Well, like step one, you got to get the fuck over needing their approval for anything. Like it's your life. Eventually one day they're going to be dead. I know this is dark, but like eventually one day they will not be there, and you don't want to wait until that day is to start living your life. And as someone who's come out on the other side of stuff, my father told me that in the moment where I was, a champion and I finally done everything, and I think it was the first year of Guardian Con, we raised $500,000 for St. Jude, and I was charity director on that. And I put in so much work, and they got to see how hard I worked on that and all this other stuff to put that together. He finally came around, right?
Gotcha.
And that was my moment. And like in that, yeah, like I talk big shit and that was my motivation. But in that moment, like I was humbled and happy to finally have that approval, but I wouldn't have gotten it by following the path that he wanted for me.
Okay.
That's what he said was, I've never been more proud of you than the day that I told you that I did not think that what you were doing was a good idea and you did it anyway and proved me wrong.
Okay.
So there's that side of things. So I have a question, and I'm going to like walk back all the way to the beginning with you.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said you don't see streaming as a full-time thing. What do you see it as?
I see it as a part-time enjoyment to grow a community, to be more well involved, to, I tie it together kind of like with my panel and everything, how to get involved in a community, how to, whether you want to be involved in a small community or a large community like yours, or, if you want to get involved with a monster community like Lyrics or whatnot, but like, just showing people that there's different outlets for everyone's taste, because Twitch does have different tastes.
Yeah.
Not everyone wants to be in a huge channel.
No, I totally agree. So another step, what do you want to do like full time, like as a career? Like what's your goal?
Well, I mean, business related. My degree is business management. So cool. In the lines of business and management and sales and whatnot.
So does your like real practical conversation, does your father not see the fact, and like I want you to come at him with this, because this is like a bludgeon, and the fact that he's an executive and can't see it actually hurts my body. Does he not see the fact that you're operating and building a community on a new medium doesn't create a gigantic sales, distribution, and management platform for yourself as a personal brand and human being? Like, he doesn't get that?
I don't think he sees that, because
have you brought that up to him?
No, because it's kind of a sore subject. We don't talk about it.
I mean, sure, but I would fucking stick it in my dad's face. If you need some shit from my life to stick it in his face, there's so many opportunities that have come for my like ancillary businesses that I have started because of the Twitch platform that I've built. Sales opportunities, growth opportunities, charity opportunities, that fucking physical fitness.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't name it, because of the network I built on Twitch. I have all of these opportunities that wouldn't exist. It would take so much more effort to create this natural network, especially if you're interested in business and business management. And now you're on this new media form and you're building. I can't.
And my current job's I probably have a job I shouldn't have at my age, but I do, and because I worked my ass off, and
that's good.
I got to where I'm at, so there's that. But just I don't know. I guess you're right. I guess I needed to stop worrying about their approval at this point and just do it for me, no matter what.
Yeah. Your father, that's just a conversation I would have.
Okay.
Real practical. There are some things happening next year with King's Coast on massive wide scale national distribution. Okay. That would not be happening if it were not for literally this podcast. And this has the smallest social reach of all of the projects that I work on. So, it doesn't matter how big your social circle is, growing it on a business level, and this is, I mean, your dad's an executive. He needs to learn this shit anyway. Growing your social circle, your media brand, whatever the fuck it is that you can do, is going to increase your level of relevance and buy-in, and opportunities are going to come to you that, you know, maybe 10 years ago you had to spend fuck tons of money on advertising to get to the person that you needed to talk to. And now they might just watch you because you both like video games.
Good point.
And that is, I mean, that is practical, on the ground reality of how the internet works right now. I want to have a fight with your dad. Like, I'm fucking pissed. You know, but I think that I think that you recognize a lot of the value that you're doing, and if you keep pushing forward, you know, eventually, I hope that he'll see it. He needs to, as an executive of whatever company he is a part of, come around to the idea that social media is fucking important.
It's very important.
Yeah. But that's my most practical advice, you know.
No, it's good advice.
Yeah, I'm heated up.
I agree. And honestly,
do you have anything you want to add to that? Yeah, it was.
I have one thing I want to add. Again, you're probably not going to like this, Broman, but
That's fine.
my
You can
dad.
disagree with me. That's beautiful.
No, that's not the point that you're going to not like. My dad actually owns his own business.
I'm gonna have a stroke.
And you know, my grandfather had his own construction company and built some skyscrapers in New York City, actually.
Wow.
And then he, you know, when he became too old or when he wanted to take on other projects, he gave the business to my dad. So my dad's had that business ever since, and it's changed names, you know, and stuff like that. But basically, my dad's never had a job where he wasn't technically his own boss, or like my grandpa wasn't his boss. So that's the part that kind of boggles my mind, is like, here you have your daughter who is trying to do exactly that, essentially, but just in, like, you know, a different field, a field that you might not understand. And like, I don't understand construction.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm trying to do this and be my own boss and build a brand for myself and build something bigger than myself. And it's not clicking. But you know what? It might never click. It might never ever click. You might pull up one day in a Lamborghini and it still might not click. But you know, at the end of the day, I think that what Broman said is you need to just do it for yourself. And you know, I have days where I think that way, and I have days where I'm really sad about it. But it gets better. It does. You know, you grow with it, and you start to realize who your support system is, and you just lean on them.
Absolutely. Surrounding yourself with people that are actually going to feed into your dream instead of fight with you is important.
Yeah, that's what what I've been trying to do. So
I'm
thank
so
you.
heated right now.
I'm sorry to get you so triggered.
No, it's beautiful. I mean, that's why I do this. Do you have any like follow-up questions or ideas or anything like that?
I don't. I think you both knocked it out and gave me great things to work on and push towards. So
I love it, man. Thank you so much. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find you?
Sure. I mean, I can type in chat. You can.
Really a
I'm
good selling
right
tactic.
here. I'm right here. You can click on that in the Twitch chat if you want to find me there. And on Twitter, it's Liger313 with an underscore.
Liger313. Well, there you go, gents. Give Liger a follow. Support the dream.
Thank you very much, Miss Geek and Mr. Broman. Thanks.
Your parents own businesses?
Yeah, my dad does.
Your dad. Yeah. Oh man, that's
the one who's the most against it.
Man, I'm ready to. Oh man, but you brought up a really good point about tangibles, right? Like something you can physically touch is huge. Mm-hmm. I think that like that was a big moment for my parents to really understand the effect of everything I've done, was like seeing pictures from GuardianCon for the first time. And then like when they got the first bag of coffee in the mail, that was, oh, I can drink this. This is my son's. Like, this is weird.
I know.
Like, tangibles seem to matter a lot. I mean, they do matter a lot, but when you're operating in like this space of ideas and entertainment, everybody tends to devalue it and shit on it until suddenly it matters, and then like, oh no, yeah, I've loved it all along. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who knows what could happen in the future? I'm very hopeful still. At the end of the day, like, you only really get one mom and one dad.
It's true.
And even if it's like a stepdad or a stepmom, usually there's only like one of those figures, you know what I mean? Like in your life. So I really hope that eventually things will pan out.
I think that my experience with my dad is an accelerated version of what a lot of people probably experience, but like I really want to believe in the dream that like everybody's parents are finally going to come around and get it. Mm-hmm. Like, what if they don't?
What if they don't?
What if
and
they
then
don't?
you have other people, hopefully.
Exactly. That's why other people are so important. Oh my God. All right. We got time for one more person. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We've had so many good goddamn conversations already. This is bonkers. Let's grab this guy's, he's been in here since the start. So let's grab For the Gym, JIM. How you doing, Jim? I hope you're having a good day and that perhaps you could unmute your microphone. Perhaps.
That would help. Hello.
That would help. What's up, Jim?
How are you guys doing today?
I am doing incredible.
I'm doing great. Feels good.
Yeah, it feels real good, man. What can we do for you today, my guy?
Yeah, so I had a couple questions. My first one was I've been battling with my name lately. I don't know if it's dated. Does that make sense?
I love your fucking name. For the Gym?
Yeah, so it's a play on For the Win, but I made it years ago.
Shit works on so many levels. I love it.
Yeah.
I know that you guys are Geek rebranded recently, so I was wondering if it was difficult to do so.
I mean, it is difficult. And I only added a K on the end. I didn't like even go all out and change the whole theme of everything. But it is difficult. It also depends on what level of streaming you're at. I mean, for me, there was still things that I forgot to change that were, had my old name on them. And I'm still working on it. Like, even if you go to my page now, there are still things that have my old name on it just because, I'm not that knowledgeable in graphic design or anything like that. So I have to rely on talented people to help me out with that. And, I had to rebrand my opening screen, my closing screen, all my panels, all my social media, every link that's attached to anything, my Discord. So you don't think how crazy it's going to be. Like, I was like, oh, I'll add a K at the end. How difficult could that make things? But at the end of the day, it actually did make things pretty difficult. And you really have to commit to it. I'm glad that I did it. I would, like if someone was like, would you do that again? I would be like, absolutely. I think, hopefully this will be the final rebranding. Obviously, I don't think I'll be doing this again. But I will say that it's a big, big change to make. And especially if you already been streaming for a while and people know you as a certain person, then people will just have to get acclimated to it. It's kind of like people on the internet, they get very attached to a certain idea of something. And when that changes, it could be hard to acclimate to that change. But as long as you establish a community that just has your back for you and doesn't really care about much else, then it works out.
Yeah, it's a mild level of uncomfortability for a good long-term payoff.
Yeah, like my gamer tags, all my characters are my battle tag, my PSN name.
I mean,
Instagram,
I fucking love it, dude. Like, I think it's
I like it too. I mean, like, you have a name that works for like a little play on words.
Thank you guys. My other question was, I watched one of the podcasts before that said there's something to say about like the grungy look of a beginning stream.
Yeah.
But I keep arguing with myself that I don't want to get like big in, like put full effort into it until it looks more professional. And so my question along that was when should I start looking into logos and what outlets would I do? So
when it feels right for you. You know, that whole conversation, people keep bringing it back up, and I'm glad that it struck a chord, because it's making you check where you place your value on your stream, which was the whole point of that conversation. Authenticity is the most important thing. Like, if you're a graphic designer or whatever and you want to make shit shiny first, that's cool. Yeah, that's great. Like, do if you want it to look professional first, then definitely do that. But don't feel like you have to. Like, there is value in looking scrappy. You know, there's value in being the guy that shows them at the gym with like torn up clothes, and then you go deadlift 800 pounds. Everyone's like, oh, okay, well, that guy's fucking great. You know, they're not gonna, it doesn't matter what you look like if the quality's there.
I appreciate that. So the other idea, though, is so I followed Swaz on Twitter, who I know did a lot of your stuff.
Yes.
How do you find a graphic designer if you wanted to get into more better looking systems?
Instagram, Twitch Creative, Twitter.
Twitch Creative, Twitter.
Like, type in graphic design, or logo design or whatever into any of those, and then just go down all of the images and find someone that you like.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like I found people who aren't very like well known or haven't done like a lot of like popular streamer stuff, who just, we vibe together, we know each other, what our ideas are and the art styles there, so you can find them anywhere. You never know.
Guys, I appreciate it. Broman, like, I've subbed you with like 5 different names. They were all for the gym pretty much, but I don't know if you've noticed, I've been a sub for like 2 years and 6 months on this account because I keep changing my mind.
That's fine, Jim. Like, I appreciate the long-term support, man. I'm glad we could get you in here.
Thank you guys very much for the
Yeah, thank you so much, dude. You have a great day. What a man. We talked about branding a lot today. I feel like everybody heard your story.
And they were like, oh.
And they were like, shit! Broman doesn't know garbage about this. Which is just incredible. Geek, thank you so much for coming on and sharing and providing so much for all the folks who are listening today. Please let everybody know where they can find you.
Sure. So you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/TheGeekChick. You can find me on Twitter at Geek on Twitch. And if you have an Instagram, you can follow me there at GeekChickTV.
Fantastic. And I'm Professor Broman everywhere. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for watching on YouTube and Facebook. If you are listening on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play or Anchor, or who knows, man, maybe it's 20 years from now when we're finally on Spotify. Thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate you. If you could please rate the podcast, comment, or if you want to tune in live, you can follow me. I'm Professor Broman on Twitter or Instagram or wherever. I post there when we do this live, and I would love to get you on and help answer your questions with whomever we have on with us. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.